Hi, everybody. It's Sherry St. Marie, and today we're going to talk about a pretty cool and exciting thing called the niche or specialty of sports and entertainment real estate. So it's not new to me. That might surprise you. I've actually been around and all of that in the industry and stuff since I was 5 years old. So that might surprise you. I used to, way back in the 90s, be a high school marketing teacher. I used to teach my students sports and marketing entertainment. Back at that time, they were going to prepare for all different careers in marketing, and real estate is one of them, right? I used to bring my students down to Disney. 18 seniors I would fly down with on spring break and bring them to an internship in entertainment with Disney. This is an incredible category. I was a child actor for NBC when I was a kid. My mother worked for NBC, and so we were the free labor, myself and my sister, often. If they had a commercial they needed to shoot, or they needed slide or film or a model for something, I was right there. And I actually did things with NBC until I was 18 years old, on and off with my mom's connection. So that side of the industry, I've been in and around for a long time. Sports, if you know me and you know my family of procreation, was huge. So we were very much in a sports family. That is something that was a whole lot of entertainment and things when I was raised in the Midwest, and I raised my children in the Midwest in Wisconsin. You might think, how does this tie? Well, wait until I tell you all the stories tying to Wisconsin and the sports and entertainment industry, including Call of Duty. Yes, Call of Duty was one of my students' employment I secured when he was in high school because he wanted to be a gamer someday. I'll tell you about that. And I have had a great opportunity also to be the Supeorhost for 5 years with my daughter, Julia, my youngest daughter. And we were the ones in Madison, Wisconsin, Middleton, Wisconsin, who were the host house for his staff, chosen by American Family. And I'll get into that. For 3 years straight, we hosted them while they did an amazing job of raising every year between 3 and 5 million for local charities in our family home, while myself and my daughter were the Airbnb super hosts. I was local, or my daughter was in college and I was down here in Naples flying back and forth, and I did all the public relations and contracts and all of this kind of stuff. So I'll get into it with you. The part that should interest you is that EXP has a new certification in sports and entertainment real estate, which I did yesterday. So I'm certified, which is funny because I taught it in the 90s and I've been doing stuff for a good amount of time. But EXP is coming out of a division of their luxury brand of sports and entertainment real estate. And we'll tell you some of that. And some of our agents are in our network, have been professional athletes themselves or entertainers. Others are influencers, right? So this is going to be a whole category of, let's back up a minute. And let's talk about what really is in the sports and entertainment section today, 2025, as I'm filming this, in real estate. And so you have to open your mind. And I know a lot about a lot of things, even though I'm an OG, both in real estate and social media, in marketing and all of these things. I'm going to tell you a lot today. You can digest yourself. You can make a connection to me if you would like to. And I'm happily able to make connections into really great industries and opportunities and things like that, which is awesome. So let's start from today. Do you understand that content creation is not just one thing, correct? Right? We have influencers, of course, who have bought unbelievable homes for themselves, right? Or have relocated or needed a certain set or needed privacy. We understand professional athletes, right? And so again, I was in a very athletic family. My former spouse is Hall of Fame for his college. We had 3 very athletic kids. We have a professional athlete within my children's cousin genre. And so there is that understanding in that you all think it's glitzy and sparkly and whatever. I was there day one when each of these kids got a Fisher-Price basketball hoop when they turned 2 for Christmas. And all the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in the gym and the winning and the not winning so it takes a lot. We did the AAU circuit. I was the mother who traveled with my son. So I was the one on the bus. I was the one driving him an hour and a half to practice each way, all of those pieces. So I understand why it matters. We're from the Midwest. You may be surprised. Lots of people that come from the sports and entertainment. And again, this can be gaming. So we have our huge gamers, right? Call of Duty, again, one of my the original creator, Brian, of Call of Duty, with his headquarters in Middleton, Wisconsin, is who I personally went to and contacted with about my student, did the evaluations, all of that stuff way back in the day. And so they aren't looking for somebody who the agent themselves wants to have glitz and bragging rights and all of this kind of stuff. I can say these things now because it was so long ago, right? Even the Scott Stricker Foundation, it has now been 2 years since I have been their host in Middleton, Wisconsin. I can certainly do that for them again in Naples because they travel to do these senior tournaments or tournaments for these foundations, right? And so I can get back into it again if I'd like to. They're a fantastic crew to work with. Lots of times it does or does not lead into the actual sale or purchase of properties and things like that. But this is the part that's important. I think anybody that wants to be in the sports and entertainment real estate industry as a niche, which means that's what you do, and I'm in it as a specialty because it's one of several specialties I have awareness of, including business owners and medical, biomedical, medical tourism. Seniors is a lot of what I do as well. These are specialties for me, but this is what you need to primarily understand, and that is you are really, in order to secure these opportunities, very much more so in the realm of service and concierge. And if it's a younger athlete or a younger musician or something, you are almost always going to be working with that wife. Really important, make yourself a note, or that girlfriend. Lots of times you're not even working with the athlete. So for myself with the Steve Stricker Foundation, I did that for 3 different years in a row, right? And they really wanted us to stay a 4th. I just ended up having to move full-time to Naples, or I would have absolutely continued with them in Middleton. You aren't actually a lot of times dealing with the athlete or the person themselves. You are dealing with their ecosystem. Why it matters, I happen to be raised in the Midwest, raised my children in the Midwest. They know, as an example, we are somebody who's usually pretty down to earth, very principled, not stuffy, right? Because I could be a lot of fun, and I've, was with a band for 8 years and all this kind of stuff. But they understand we aren't one who's going to be looking for necessarily the Hollywood glitz or the I was with this person. Here's a little story for you to begin with. An agent who had Shaquille O'Neal made a huge error, which could also be very much financial and legal, of posting his brand new house the day after he closed with him. Don't ever do that. Don't do that. So for sure, he ended up selling that house. He didn't even move in. So day 1, 24 hours, don't want it because his address is public knowledge, right? What are you doing? Sometimes we have secure privacy. And so we do need to sign non-disclosure agreements, confidentiality agreements. Sometimes you might have the biggest sale of your life and you can't say anything. And you totally need to be okay with that. Some of them want the mic. Therefore, my slogan in this category is discernment and a mic. Because sometimes they come to us because they want the discernment. I'm a great decoy. I'm a good decoy. You wouldn't suspect me. I'm pretty good at playing the mole or whatever I might have to do. You also don't, if you're in this category and it's a big name or a something, let's go into real estate seriousness. They don't want their name said or their company or their movie. Usually, if I'm the buyer, I don't want you knowing I'm, and I also have big. I don't want that happening. And so you as an agent need to have really great awareness within this category. It's hard because we would like credibility, right? Because I could tell you several different things. I mean, this is a very back reference, but it still matters to some of us, right? Michael Landon was somebody who my mother was photographed with, and I have autographs and all these things when I was 5 years old. You wouldn't know that if you are younger, but it's Little House on the Prairie, right? And he was the lovely father of the family. And so way back at 5, we were getting photographs and autographs and all of this stuff signed by NBC, and my mother flown to events and all of this kind of stuff. And you have to understand that some of this is private, some of it's super public, right? So that's why I say discernment and a mic, because sometimes people are coming to us in the sports and entertainment industry because they want us for the mic, our ability to promote. And we have an entire division within EXP that is EXP Luxury, with a specialty of sports and entertainment for certain agents. We have a network. Part of our network has already been doing this for more than 30 years. Ed Kaminsky is one of ours, right? Kacie Anderson is one of ours. I could name several that have worked with agents for a long time, sports and things like that. We're athletes themselves. Some of you, if you are and you want to have a post-career, you might think that sounds a little bit crazy, but real estate is not necessarily a bad one. The business of it is interesting. You might decide, even as an agent, I want to be able to secure this business and do a great job with them. This may shock you, but I don't want my name tied to the person or the business or the movie or the thing. That's okay, because we are doing business and we are serving people. So I actually have one right now that I'm pursuing a little bit because it's good business, but I don't necessarily want my name tied to it, because the brands don't go together. And you have to be able to make these decisions because you have to ultimately do a good job for the person, right? But again, my main point to you is the majority of this stuff is NDAs often, unless it's on the sell side and it helps promote. So an example would be right now, EXP Realty, and I put the link in the description. We have the listing for Breaking Bad, the home that Breaking Bad was filmed in. For some people, that's fun. I knew instantly, right? Having been an Airbnb Superhost, I mean, that would be a great Airbnb. The community may or may not like that. You know, you have all these things that we work through. But this is some of the stuff that can be fun and creative within the real estate industry. And then I want to go back to the really important part. If you are particularly working with an athlete, or it may be a performer or something like that, their life on the road is everybody coming up to them, everybody, oh my gosh, women, if it's a guy, throwing themselves at them, right? Or, you know, if it's a woman, men or whatever, they don't want that within their personal life usually. You see Selling Sunset. I don't usually call out other brokerages, but this is reality TV, okay? You see Selling Sunset and you see Selling Sirhan of drama, and I'm dressed like this, and I'm like, you know, with this person or whatever. I mean, at no disrespect to single one of them or their brokerages, that's reality TV. That's created drama in which I can tell you they do not want the drama. They would like peace. They would like good vibes. They would like to have fun. They would like to certainly be able to trust somebody. Then let's move to the side of you're moving an athlete that either just got called or just got dropped. And sometimes you got to be able to move them within a very fast period of time. They don't want people knowing my children are going into this school, right? You may have to deal with security. If you are dealing with a single individual, you may certainly be in a spot where you become, because you're the trusted person and you've demonstrated that you can work within this genre of you are the person for them because they don't have their significant person in terms of their move in these decisions and staging the house or buying the whatever, or making certain, whether it is someone in this category that you need toilet paper, you need blackout shades, they want their cars not shown because they don't want all the people in the front yard, right? They need, what do I want to wake up with in the morning as just a regular person? And I can tell you in this niche area, as well as, you know, very successful business owners and things like that, they want to know you're really there because you care about them. You care about them as an individual. It's not their records. It's not their big bucks. It's not the yacht. It's not that's all respectfully lovely. But they want to know you really are there for them, that you understand. Our whole job is to be able to make sure they can go do their job. And when they work so hard at their job, they also are able to rest, relax with their either, girlfriend, boyfriend, family, children, because we're handling and making sure all of the pieces of their move or sale or buy or whatever they're doing. And sometimes they're businesses. We're business brokers as well, right? At EXP. Sometimes it's business broking because they have side pieces or business or flow. That's the person. It's a good Midwest decoy that you might never guess or might never know who I was talking to or what I'm doing or how's it going, right? That's the stuff that can be an asset and is not the groupie, the glitz, the asking for an autograph, the asking for tickets, the, oh my gosh, get us into the venue and the backstage. They're the ones that won't do well. And so again, this can be an amazing genre and area. I'm going to, because it is also some of my specialties, move into other areas. So here's an example. I actually have another one of my teammates, because we are 83,000 agents globally right now in EXP, that I, even on my phone, can connect. I have relationships with so many different agents, so many specialties, commercial and residential, right? Because these are the things that are huge. So when I said I was doing this broadcast today, right away, one of my agent teammates that's over in Miami says, hey, Sherry, she was on the certification with me yesterday, sports and entertainment. And she says, I just picked up a $6,250,000 Miami Beach home, 4-bedroom, 2-car garage. Very nice. I want to call her. And so I called her up right away. It will go live tomorrow. So you can message me and we can get you information. I want to vet things like that. I want agents that I already know homes. I'm going to tell you a different one. So that one's in Miami Beach, right? It depends on for the person. What are they looking for? Do they want a high rise? I can tell you who's coming into Florida a lot right now. New York, sports, entertainment, athletes, names, and also California. So a lot of that is the influx into Florida right now. There's a very different feel, I can tell you, from east to west coast. I'm in Naples, Florida as a full-time, as well as I travel. So for certain people and situations, I travel. I'm also licensed in Wisconsin, which may surprise you, but I'll tell you, we have a lot of professional athletes in Wisconsin. A lot of them like to have their families there. A lot of them like to have a second home in Wisconsin in the summer, lots of times on the water, where they don't want hurricanes. They just want nice water. I do a lot of new construction. So a lot of what I have done since 2003 has been the new construction, particularly in the completely custom. So I'll tell you one just pitching right here for somebody amazing. And actually someone's looking at in the entertainment industry right now if they don't get an offer in before you might like to. And it is actually a amazing home in Naples, Florida that is custom done by Paradise Design Build. They are very good friends of mine. They design everything as tropatexture homes. They are designing homes specifically for that homeowner that may or may not be a celebrity, a golfer, a sports person, a retired sports person, or retired entertainment. And their entire home has elements made for them that are custom pieces of some of your favorite resorts and places you've ever been. And it doesn't matter if it makes sense or doesn't make sense. So an example is you can have an entire meditation suite full with steam room, infrared lights, wave pool, sauna. Switching over to the other side. So when you come down the hall of just this private part of the house, you can go this way into meditation rooms, gorgeous showers with the rainfalls and whatever. You can go this side into little bit if you want to, yoga, Peloton and things, but then into the infrared, and it overlooks the entire huge fountains that are at the front of the house. It looks like the JW Marriott in Naples. These are the kind of houses we have access to when we know who is the person who's looking, or we secure these assets, right? I have a relationship with this builder. He can build anything. They highly prefer, and he's at a place where he really certainly does not have to work, doesn't have to go anywhere. He likes to build in Naples and in Marco. We've had lots of people who call me or call him and say, oh my gosh, Sherry, would they come here or something, or, Aspen or something? So far, no. So if you'd like something ready to go, again, we have somebody huge in the entertainment industry looking at it right now who bought one of his homes previously. These things happen, and these homes take a little bit to get built. The other option is things like, a lot of us that are in the industry, we are already well aware of. I am a mother of 3 children, raised them in Wisconsin, was a teacher, know what it feels like to move schools and move children and some of those difficulties. Have worked with tons of corporate wives that their husbands were CEOs and things like that, where they're the ones that either have to stay back with the sale or come first, Naples or whatnot, to do the new choice and get the family situated so that the husband can fly between his jobs and come in for peace, right, and tranquility. So there's an awful lot of really cool opportunities within this industry. Joining EXP certainly does not necessarily just get you leads in this industry. This is one where you build and you get to know people and you show pieces and assets. But like I said, when I was teaching sports entertainment back in the 90s, I never in my wildest dreams could have told you I'd be living in Naples, Florida with one of the largest world brokerages doing this kind of stuff. And so what's cool about it is we never know exactly what may be an asset or a piece for ourselves. We never know who we may meet, that it might be at the airport, but I caution you even more so, it could be on the beach. I have met some of the most amazing people on the beach. And my point is then your awareness of how you're behaving always matters, right? Always. And then when I go into this, a lot of times in the luxury category, they all like to make it look the same. And like the realtor's supposed to look the same. I can tell you, for both business owners and sports and entertainment, it is refreshing to them sometimes when you also get somebody who's barefoot and really laid back and just a super big heart, hard worker, has the skills, knows the connections, can get to some of the big whales for different things that we need. And so personal branding right now, today in 2025, a lot of it's being called personal blanding. You should know that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be the loudest in the room. It doesn't mean you have to be the biggest on mic, right? It doesn't even mean you have to be on mic. It means you just so absolutely should be yourself. Look at how many absolutely amazing people have made it in a t-shirt, a plain t-shirt, even wearing the same t-shirt every single day. As a business owner or as a look or a brand or a something, not that you have to have a shtick, because I don't like that. I think sometimes it's too much of a crutch. And then what do you do when you don't have the thing? For me, a lot of times it is, oh gosh, they don't know you're serious when they see a lot of your TikToks and things like that. They don't know you're incredibly intelligent. You know, a lot of this industry. I have a master's in adult education. I have a degree in marketing. All these things are me. So if you just saw a 7-second, yes, I can be 7-second funny. I could be an hour long, serious, lots of great information, really good connections. Yeah. Why wouldn't all those things be? I can go from barefoot to boots to heels, depending on what I need to do. Lots of people talk about this. We just had EXPCon over in Miami, of course, and I can show up and roll in there with the silk shirt and leather pants and heels. Then I can come back to the beach and be completely barefoot and walking and talking with, I have no clue. I'm talking to one of the business owners of blah, blah, blah in the world, and I didn't realize it. That's some of the skills you need to have in this industry. So for me, it's like, please don't come into the sports and entertainment if you think it's the glitz and glamour part that you're interested in and all the screenshots of this and that. You might possibly get that, but a lot more of it is this concierge piece. One of the people I met sitting outside the Ritz-Carlton actually is one of the largest IT event coordinators globally in the world. And what he does, I would never want to do. All the details, every single detail of all of the lights, the wire, the sound, the whatever, while he's globally flying teams from here to there to other countries to, I think it's phenomenal he can do that. I'm going to say something because I'm not going to say his name. Can I tell you what he sat on the beach and talked to me about? He sat there and talked to me about the largest thing that's missing in his life is a really peaceful, beautiful, happy, healthy, good, calm home life and home. I know this because I have these same conversations with a lot of different people. And so sometimes even though people have, and again, tons, very, very happy, all of that's fantastic. But again, the piece that sometimes is priceless, even though sometimes they have a big price tag on them, is their home piece. Wherever that is, whether it is them with their family, them with their wife, them with a girlfriend, often them with, and they want their mother somewhere, maybe close, maybe right in, maybe not. Any of these nuances are the things that you have to be really good at. If you are a professional in real estate that's like, okay, how many rooms do you want? And where do you think you want to go? And you got to ask really beautiful questions about what's the one thing right now that you can't get, even with the biggest paycheck you could find? What's that one thing? Because often that's what hits on. Oh, if I could give you that experience in your own space, or if I could relieve that thing or problem or situation from you, gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? Other parts of this job are, you're new, and I understand you can't just go right out into the public, but you also do want to meet people. When I was doing the Airbnb Superhost of my own home with my daughter, a lot of it was, right, these guys their staff would stay in my home for a month every year. So the PGA Tour, can you imagine how this would start getting all over the place if I wasn't really careful? Oh, the PGA Tour's at your house. And I happen to be a single individual. So it was, and my kids were in college. So it was like, oh my gosh, I heard the PGA guys at your house. I heard that. I'm like, oh, I mean, no, not the players necessarily. I mean, sometimes yes, but no. That's the stuff you have to manage carefully and make the decisions, within, did you have an NDA, which you could say nothing, to, I was the one running my own Airbnb, right? Of like, I had done it for 5 years straight. My neighbors directly next to me, who also I hired their children to help me with the house, in between Julia and myself, and my neighbors across the street, I would tell them, okay, the PGA is coming. This is what we need to do. It's just really the staff. There may or may not be a player coming, but let's just not talk about it. And they were phenomenal. So they were great. And those are the kind of discretion things you sometimes have to decide in terms of how are we going to manage this, right? Lots of stuff is fun. So for me with my Airbnb situation, mine was the joy. It wasn't, I'm in Naples, Florida, and supposedly Steve Stricker's also down here as well. It isn't I'm around golfers. I mean, respectfully, it was the heart of what that foundation is doing, the heart of American Family Insurance in Madison, Wisconsin, for raising all of that money off that tournament for the local charities. It was the times that our home was the site for a family to come for their daughter's wedding. And so then our home was the home for them, of parents staying, them being able to have, breakfast together and things like that. The heartfelt stuff is what was really amazing for me. And so again, in this industry, you have to have the really good for hospitality, even if you think you're in a state or place or city that isn't about hospitality. I mean, obviously a ton is here in Naples, Florida, however, and Miami. And however, I knew the Airbnb industry wasn't necessarily about real estate. It was about hospitality and customer service, right? The better that we treat people and handle things, the better reviews we do, the better that they are able to do. If I would have messed up or my daughter would have messed up, the PGA maybe would have had difficulties. I can tell you now because it's after the fact. I had an Airbnb tenant right before the PGA Tour, the third year, that person knew the PGA Tour was coming and they knew they had to be out. He hijacked my house. I have to tell you some more stories, right? He hijacked my house and he refused to move out because he knew the PGA Tour was coming in and he knew how much money probably I was being paid for that month. He refused to get out of my house with his wife and their children. So I found myself having to negotiate. How do I handle this? Because if I mess this thing up for the PGA Tour and they have nowhere for their staff to go, because it's not easy to find a 2-car garage for these huge trucks and 30 days and ish. Maybe I'll save these stories for later, but it did slightly involve the police for 2 seconds. I was able to remove the tenant without a legal court, eviction, because that takes time. The PGA Tour knew nothing about it at the time. These are the things, and why I say this now, this many years later, that you have to be able to handle. If you're going to work in this category of sports and entertainment, that's the other tip I would give you. Yes, they would like to know you have a team, or I can be myself, but I also have a team within where I have luxury people within these industries that I can call in a second, within EXP, within my community that I am dealing with that can help with these situations. But they want to know whoever they signed the contract with, I'm the one. Me, Sherry, I will do it. You can call me, you can text me. I'm one of the fastest texters. And it's funny because back in the day, everybody used to think I was a bot before there was bots. It's me. So whoever liked it that in this industry or situation, I am the one who personally will handle, will call back, will answer your text. It doesn't matter day of time or evening, because you have to be willing to do that within this genre. If you are a little bit interested in this category and you're already with EXP, reach out to myself or reach out to Carrie Zier, who is in charge of growth within our luxury category. You also are certainly able to just make a direct connection if you have a little more interest in EXP and joining us. What I love about this brokerage is we have so much freedom. Obviously, we're independent contractors. We certainly are allowed to have our own voice, which you can see I use mine a lot on different things and topics and advocacies. We also have the ability to work in all these different things. So I started way back in the day in my own brokerage as a woman in construction. I still do that. I love that. We also have all these different specialties and situations, including I work with commercial and I work with large collaborations and bringing teams in different situations together. So it can be an incredibly fun, rewarding category to work in. It just makes it a little bit spicy and interesting sometimes, right? And then again, you have to be okay with just having the joy of the piece of what you did, because when they trust you, they let other people know about that. When they know that you're somebody who sincerely, gosh, she is a mother, was a wife, was a teacher, understands sports, was in the entertainment industry, traveled with the band for 8 years. It makes it nice for them. And then each person obviously is individual. So I appreciate you for showing up today to hear a little bit more about sports and entertainment real estate. Here's what I want to end with, and it's really important. So Disney just put aside $1 billion more towards producing content, series, entertainment, whichever. Paramount just went huge. Netflix. And so it doesn't mean it's coming directly. Production is going to happen all over the place. It can even be businesses. YouTube wants creating series for themselves, even if you're Best Buy, putting content onto YouTube as your own series and things like that. So this entire thing, including huge gaming, right? And as we get into pieces of AI and all this kind of stuff, are going to just completely evolve. And so it's a great category to get yourself a little bit schooled in, some experience in, make connections in. It doesn't matter necessarily if you're Florida, Wisconsin. Don't worry about that part. It's just, I have experience in this. You could certainly call me. Doesn't matter what state or situation. I had somebody today, California, and I'm like, oh my gosh. This is something that works for a huge commercial deal I just had 2 weeks ago that was for regular business, but it would fit this. This is the stuff we're doing. Thanks for joining me. Have an awesome day.